In Loudon, New Hampshire, population of just over 5,000 people, lies the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It's a 1 mile racetrack, relatively flat oval, with about 2 to 7 degrees of banking, depending on how high up you go. And, well, we're here today at the virtual New Hampshire Motor Speedway for round number 2 of the 2022 Mega Driver 86 INDYCAR Series. My name is Rishav Khosla, joined to the booth by Derek Vance once again. And 2 weeks after a marathon race at the US 500, we're hoping for something a little bit quicker here tonight. Here, Derek, talk us through this racetrack. It's one that we haven't seen in real life INDYCAR for a while. We were here 2 seasons ago in the Mega Driver 86 series, but still something a little bit unfamiliar for these drivers.
Yeah, it absolutely is a little unfamiliar indeed, and welcome. Glad to be back here at New Hampshire, the New Hampshire Motor Speedway Oval. Yeah, hopefully we can have a little bit quicker race than we did just a few weeks ago. We're going to be running 225 laps this evening, and what a loaded and star-studded field I think that we have for this race tonight.
Absolutely, and we'll walk you guys through it. How about this for Joshua Chin, rookie, taking pole position there in that 93 car. He'll start alongside Adriano Pinheiro, the race winner from 2 weeks back. Defending series champion Alex Van de Sant's going to start in third alongside Chad Frankenfield, and Eric Troiano will make up that top 5, lining up alongside Tyler Fode. We'll run through the rest of that top the grid here, and as we scroll through, you'll see a number of names as well to keep an eye out for who maybe didn't have great nights 2 weeks ago. You look at maybe R.C. Enerson, Nick DeGroot had a good night, but unfortunately didn't get the result he was hoping for with internet issues later on. AJ Musselman with the podium last week, looking to maybe go 1 or 2 more positions higher than that. Chris Wright down in 15th. A little bit further back as we scroll through, we have 30 starters today, so relatively packed grid around this small track. It's going to spread out pretty quickly, don't you think?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. All of these drivers are obviously, chomping at the bit to get back on the track from 2 weeks ago. Some of them, as we heard in the post race a few weeks back, satisfied with their finish, some not so satisfied. So it's going to be interesting to see how some of those bounce back early in the season from the race a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely. And for Joshua Chin, then, our pole sitter, this is his, I believe, first race start here in the Mega Driver 86 series, and what a way to get it rolling. But to put together a single lap is one thing. To put together 225 laps continuously up front is going to be a whole other challenge, and he's got a feisty field behind him to keep an eye out for. So we'll watch this rookie, see how he starts here, see how he restarts as we go back to green from certain events. I'm sure we won't go green all the way through, as much as we'd love to see that. But you've got to keep an eye out for Adriano Pinheiro and Alex Van de Sant as well. 3rd place starting position today. Again, 2-time defending series champion, missed the US 500, so a little bit on the back foot. But you're allowed a drop week here in the championships, so might have used that up there, and is planning to now start his title defense here in New Hampshire. He won this race 2 seasons ago in season number 5, the 2021 B season, en route to his first INDYCAR Series championship. So could be looking good there for Alexander Van de Sant as pace car peels off here for a single file start. It looks like we're actually going to take one more lap here before we get rolling, just to allow the guys to fully grid up. It is a larger field, so maybe just letting everybody get off of the starting grid and getting ready to get underway here.
Yeah, you talk about the pole sitter right there. You have highlighted Joshua Chin. Not a lot of experience, obviously, not a track that is often frequented in the series. So it's going to be interesting, I think, this evening to watch how Joshua finds himself around this track, being a rookie. And I know, a few weeks ago, that was something that we highlighted was the success that these rookies had. So definitely keep your eye on those tonight.
For sure. As actually, I believe, is this our heat race is what we're watching here. This is an interesting situation as caution flag waves in this heat event. 2 laps to go. A little bit confused as to the procession of this race, and it was unclear to us as we got rolling as well. Being told that this is a heat race, so not the official event, despite the fact that all the starters are taking the field here. So a little bit of a strange situation here. There's always something crazy going on here, especially as we start the season. So my guess is maybe just a glitch setting up the iRacing lobby. So excuse us as we continue to pace here. 2 laps to go. They'll stay under caution, and we'll get the actual race underway here. I'd imagine the starting grid remains the same, but I've never seen this before where we've had a 30-car heat starting an event.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just, you'll get to hear our lovely voices for a few more minutes before we get things underway.
Absolutely, and yeah, final lap here, and under the pace car, they'll complete it, and we'll get rolling relatively soon. So starting grid's going to stay the same. We'll continue to talk storylines throughout this field then as guys kind of get rolling, and we'll move a little bit further back. Tyler Fody, RC Anderson start right next to each other, or should start next to each other when this race plays out. Remember, they had contact early on in the US 500. Looked like it was just a little bit of a mistake that resulted in that. Both drivers recovered fairly well in that event. But are looking, they both know, I think they have a little bit more to offer in terms of overall pace. And so they're hoping that starting P6 and P7 here today, respectively, they're going to be able to move their way forward and be in contention for a win. But of course, it's all about that consistency. What I have been seeing through the course of practice is a very loose nature for these cars coming off the corner. So trying to get the rear end settled, as even this tiny bit of banking through the corners, it seems to be really unsettling the rear end of these cars. So guys just having to get to grips with that. Through 2 and 4, we could see some incidents there with guys spinning out.
Yeah, that's always an issue, as you said. So definitely going to be something to keep our eye on. And like I mentioned earlier, another storyline is going to be some of the drivers that kind of stumbled out of the gates a few weeks ago in the opening race of the season. They're going to, being such a short season, you can't fall too far back in points. So that's going to be something I think to focus on tonight as well. Those drivers that stumbled out of the blocks 2 weeks ago, can they recover, or are they going to be digging themselves in a deeper hole?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, for some guys who had that rough week last week, you can almost use that as your buy. Like we mentioned with Van de Sant, you get that one buy in terms of points. But again, if you have another bad week today, then suddenly one of these is going to go towards your final points, championship standing. So yeah, there's only so many races that you can have mistakes at, or if you want to stay competitive, especially with how short this season is. We don't run a huge number of races here. I'm going to pull up the exact number, but I believe it's only about 13 races in the season. As we take a look, actually it's 10. So just 10 races. So not a lot of chance to recover if you do have a bad start. So guys got to keep an eye out for this. But starting grid does remain the same. Pace car is going to peel off at the end of this lap, and we'll get the actual feature race. At least that's what timing and scoring says, underway. And so the actual event, 225 laps to complete. Joshua Chin will lead this field to green alongside Adriano Pinheiro. Again, front row to look out for there. Pinheiro looked dangerous in the US 500, of course. That's such a tight margin win over Mark Murphy was huge for him as he's going for his first championship. He's always looked strong at the start of seasons, struggled to stay consistent over the course of the season. So we're going to look to see if Pinheiro can continue to maintain that consistency, go for, if he has a top 5 car, go for that top 5 rather than maybe losing it trying to go for a race win.
Yeah, he kind of, a few weeks ago, I kind of had to eat my words a little bit because I know he had a late race incident where we thought that would taken him out of the race. But miraculously, he comes back, and we'll see what he has in store this evening.
Absolutely, but the race is underway here as we get rolling. Pinheiro rolling that high side as we already have our first caution out on the racetrack. And we'll have to see what on earth happened there. We'll head to the Whiskey Cast replay. And who was this? This is Victor Del Porto. Oh, a car actually slowed down. Victor Del Porto is the one caught up in this one. As we take a look there, we're going to need to view some more angles on that, but it looked like a restart issue. Just some guys checking up, having problems. And Del Porto looks like he's caught up in it. And it looked like it was hit by a teammate as well.
Yeah, it did as we wait for the replay, but this should give us a better angle here.
Yeah, so who's that in front of him? Is that the 57 of Chris Wright? Let's see if we can watch that on board from Del Porto's point of view. Because it's kind of a tough one, because there's a gap in front of him, right, that we at least saw in that angle, and it didn't appear to see any cars checking up. So did he check up kind of on this initial restart?
Yeah, this is the view I think is going to tell us the most here.
He's going, kind of slows. He slows because of, so Chris Wright, I think, went early, had to back out of it, and I think just trying to preempt, I think Del Porto was just trying to preempt that to make it not a problem. But there was so much space in front of him, I think the car behind thought they were going, is my best understanding of that situation.
Yeah, it's definitely strange to see how this played out. So not even 5 laps into the race, and we're into our first caution. I hope this isn't an omen of things to come this time.
Yeah, certainly not. And yeah, obviously discussion. That's the only time tonight we're going to be doing a 2-wide restart. So potentially opens things up for these future restarts to be a little bit cleaner with just a single file. But yeah, already kind of that issue, and we saw it a couple times at the US 500 a couple weeks back as well, where just miscommunications between drivers on the restarts, and guys maybe trying to jump it and trying to just get that little bit of an advantage early on, ending up hurting them in the long run. So yeah, that's always going to be something we see here. Hopefully these guys kind of get that jitteriness out of the way, especially with the first race of the season completed and the first few laps of this race now completed. Hopefully we kind of get these clean restarts without too much of this jumping back and forth between guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always looking for a nice clean race. But yeah, we'd love to go caution free. But obviously that's not going to happen here, as we are in lap number 4, just waiting for the pace car to peel off, and we can get this race back underway and let the drivers get some laps on those brand new Firestone Firehawks that they have on.
Absolutely, and interestingly enough, what's strange to me is we actually have a couple of drivers here who doesn't say that they've been on pit road. There's only one driver that's been on and off of pit road. That's the number 75 car of Jordan Spoon. But cars in front of the leader, but behind the pace car there. Kind of a strange positioning. That might just have been the way that the way that it worked, because the pace car came out so quickly. They might have just gotten trapped there behind that pace car. So that kind of trapped them and prevented them from being able to make any kind of stops there. So already maybe a little bit of disadvantage for guys in the back. No opportunity to go off strategy, so they're forced to stay on the same strategy. As pace car lights are off, we'll have one more lap after this before we go back to green. But again, just another little thing, maybe 3 or 4 laps of fuel that you could have had extra on board that these guys aren't going to have now, running a little bit further back.
Yeah, we talked about pit strategy a couple weeks ago, and we'll see if this, if that comes into play tonight, as well, as we are getting back under green.
Yep, and as we will run one more lap here, Van de Sant did in fact get ahead of Pinheiro on that initial start. Obviously, we only ran for about 2 corners. But still, it's going to put Van de Sant in a good spot to immediately be able to attack the 93 of Joshua Chin, try and get up front and control this race. Pinheiro, of course, going to look to maybe try and fight back here on this new restart.
Yeah, we're going to have to see what the, I know we had a sizable amount of lead changes a few weeks ago. That's something else I think we need to, pay attention to in a storyline that could develop here.
Absolutely. We're back to green flag racing, single file, looks clean up front, and Joshua Chin's going to lead this field through turns 1 and 2. He runs a little bit lower than Van de Sant and Pinheiro, as well as Frankenfield. We'll see here Frankenfield maybe with a run as he's going to dive to the bottom. What we're going to keep an eye out for here tonight really is going to be, are there multiple lanes for these guys to run, right? In practice, saw a couple of guys trying really the high line up against the wall almost. While right now we're seeing guys generally kind of 1.5 lanes up from the bottom and then kind of stretching it out on the exit of the corner. But yeah, we'll kind of see what options guys have here through 3 and 4. You see Frankenfield about a lane, half a lane higher than Pinheiro before they kind of merge in as well. So could see some movement throughout the field, and that's what we want to see is opportunities for guys to make overtakes throughout the field and be able to really fan it out on a racetrack even like this.
Yeah, this kind of looks similar to the IndyCar race last weekend at Worldwide Technology Raceway, where drivers were, they could run on the bottom lane, but then they were trying to get as much tire grip as they could in that top lane as well. So this kind of does look eerily familiar to that race last weekend.
I will say, though, Joshua Chin, that pole pace was not just 1 lap, because he's already checked out here on Alexander Van de Sant. He is 1 second into the lead already after just 4 laps of green flag running here. Incredible pace by the driver of the 93 car. Obviously we're gonna have to keep an eye out on tire wear and fuel consumption on that car, but immediately very impressive paces. Here we have a move from RC Anderson looking to the inside of Eric Troiano for the 6th spot. Anderson looking to gain a position following Tyler Fode through. But Troiano defending well here on that higher lane. We kind of see this split in the track surface. I don't know if you're familiar at all with New Hampshire and kind of what these differences are, just different aged asphalts, or is there an actual difference in material being used here on the lower and higher lanes?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that. It does look like maybe it could be a little bit combination of both. And I have to say, early in the race, I know we're only 13 laps in, but as you said, Joshua Chen, the rookie, flexing his muscle a little bit as he has, checked out to a little bit of a lead. The question's going to be when that car is in clean air, is it going to run like it is now? But when it gets to the dirty air and it starts getting to those cars towards the back of the field, that's going to really tell us what kind of car Joshua Chin has tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. That is, and we're going to have to keep a close eye on that as he's already approaching lap traffic. So that's going to be another factor that's going to play in today that didn't really factor in, last time around because Michigan is such a big track. We didn't, and we had a few cautions there, kind of keeping the field all packed together. We didn't really see guys having to deal with traffic. Today, however, I think is going to be a very different story. You can see already Joshua Chin having to clear traffic, and in IndyCar, there is no requirement for a car that is going 1 lap down, that's still on the lead lap, to give up that position easily, especially early on in the race. Everybody's trying to stay on the lead lap here. This 21 might do so for now, but yeah, could expect to see some complications come up in the future for guys trying to make moves once you're getting to maybe those top 20 guys or even top 15 guys going a lap down. They're going to be a lot harder to overtake.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Everybody out there, obviously wants to win, and they're going to race each other as hard and as cleanly as they can. So you're not. I'd be surprised if you start seeing cars towards this back of the pack that Joshua Chin is slowly but surely catching. If they're just going to, kind of step off to the side and let him go through.
Absolutely. So the gap right now. 1.1 seconds between Chin and Van de Sant as we continue to follow Chin here on screen. We'll see as he continues to run. Van de Sant right now falling a little bit further back into the clutches of Pinheiro. Ooh, is loose off the corner for the 1 car as well. We are going to lose our... excuse us there, as we're having some issues there with timing and scoring and the cameras as well. We're going to keep following Joshua Chin as he's dealing with some lap traffic right now. The hope, of course, for the driver of the number 93 is that he can clear them relatively quickly. He does. Those still side by side there with the 98 car, I believe that is, of who was that? Was that Presley Sora? No, Presley Sora out of this race. Might be another driver there.
I do have to ask, how impressed are you? I know we're only 13 laps in here, but how impressed are you? Joshua Chin making his way around this track relatively easily, and he, as you said, has already checked out to a nice little lead.
Yeah, this is really impressive here from Joshua Chin. Don't really know his background within iRacing, and if he spent a lot of time here racing these IR18s, it's clear to me, I think, that he has some familiarity with this machinery. But yeah, this is still an impressive debut. This is not an easy league to get started in, as it does look like we have another caution out here tonight. And with that, we will actually step away for a moment. Unfortunately, can't show you too much of the action. You see there the 52 car of Kevin Burrell there on the bottom lane. We will try to get you that replay as soon as possible, but we will have to step away just briefly to reset some of our timing and scoring. We'll be back with you guys, show you that incident, and get you guys back up to pace here with the race. Here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and hopefully with a reset timing and scoring. We are under caution right now. It does say that the 0th of the event as we just start with it. We do know Kevin Burrell was the driver with issues, so we're going to head over to the Whiskey Cast replay, see what we can spot with the driver of that number 52 car, and see what happened that ended with him on that inside wall on the front straightaway, because that looked like a heavy hit.
Yeah, it absolutely did. It, as you said, brought out the second caution of the day. Kind of curious to see what happened here to Kevin Burrell, and what made this second caution. What caused this second caution rather of this race to come out?
Absolutely. I do wonder if it was kind of a loose nature, as here we go. We've got Burrell coming through 3 and 4. Oh, and it's actually car in front of him that spins. Who's that? That's the 31, I want to say. Is that?
Looks like Bill Colley the second.
Yeah, Bill Colley the second actually initiated that incident. It looks like Burrell just caught up in it. So we're going to head back and see what happened to Colley and where this incident kind of begins. And this might be that loose nature that we were talking about coming off the corner.
Yeah, it definitely looked like Kevin Burrell, feel for him because he had nowhere to go.
Yeah, and there you go. You just see it loses the rear end there for Colley and slides up into Kevin Burrell. Heavy hit for the driver of the number 52 car, as well as the driver of the number 31, Bill Colley. And I'd imagine both of those cars are done for the day. Yeah, heavy contact there with the outside wall for both of them. It all initiates off of Colley losing that rear end there through turns 3 and 4. And there you see that car still on pit road. As right now, pace car running, back to live pictures. And pace car guiding Chin, Pinheiro. Gavin Hibbs now moves up the order as he's stayed out. We have a little bit of split strategy game playing on here. So Chin, Pinheiro, Hibbs, DeGroot, Musselman, Castroneves, and Macedo all staying out on the racetrack. Alex Vandesam, the first of the drivers to come down pit road here. And I feel like I kind of have to agree with this call here from the guys who came down pit road 26 laps into the run. I'd imagine there'd be somewhere on these tires here, but Chin and Pinheiro seem to disagree, as well as those other 5 drivers that joined them in the top 7.
But you know what? Yeah, I understand this. Take a little bit of a gamble. It's still early. We're only on lap 26 of 225. So take a little bit of a gamble, and you know what? If you get the right caution, and things fall your way, that could potentially put you, towards the front when the money's on the line and when it matters the most.
Yeah, getting this off strategy opportunity again, just to change something up here. Try and find an advantage, and I think this is not too bad here for these drivers. What we haven't seen, though, admittedly, is a ton of overtaking opportunities. As the pace car does peel off here, we'll have one more lap to go. But I'm curious to see the pace advantage that somebody on these fresher tires is going to have. Will they be able to make moves to kind of regain that track position that they lost? Because realistically, restarting in eighth position with 23 lap fresher tires is a very good situation to be in if you can pass. Of course, that's going to be the big question for Alex Van de Sant. We didn't see many on-track overtakes in that first run, but we could see more here now that there's some tire tire changes between drivers, and so yeah, we'll take a look and see. Joshua Chin, Adriano Pinheiro lead the field to green. Got to be careful on acceleration there, not to lose the rear end. We dive a little bit further back, and here for Van de Sant, could have an opportunity to make a move on Macedo straight away. He's going to dive to the bottom of the racetrack. Not quite able to get there. Has to also be wary of Chad Frankenfield behind him. Chad's going to want to make a move too, also on those fresher tires. So you need to be kind of wary of the guys behind as you try to make that move forward. But you can see there, even trying that bottom lane, if Eric Macedo already looking strong despite having the older tires, and Van de Sant might have to give up a spot here to Frankenfield.
Yeah, definitely going to be curious to see what kind of speed and what kind of distance these cars that have the new tires compared to people like Joshua Chen, the leader, who stayed out. Curious to see how that's going to affect the cars that pitted to the cars that chose to stay out.
Absolutely. But Pinheiro continues to lose pace there to Joshua Chin as that 93 car continues to check out. Immense pace from him so far as he sets the fastest lap of the race by good margin. 22.65. Basically a tenth faster than anything else we've seen from other drivers. Gavin Hibbs has been one of the more impressive pace setters of late as he's chasing down Adriano Pinheiro, but even now is starting to drop a little bit off the back of the driver, the number 56. And this top three has really separated themselves from AJ Musselman, Nick DeGroot in the top five as Van de Sant finally moves past Macedo and Castroneves. And Van de Sant inside the top six on those fresh tires, the leader of those guys who pitted on this most recent caution.
Yeah, Joshua Chen, the leader of the race, he is, he's never relinquished the lead so far. It's going to be interesting to see, I think, when he goes in for his first pit stop, whenever that is, how much is that going to affect his car, if there's any effect to it at all, and what other changes is Joshua going to make? Because right now, the setup that he has right now is head and shoulders above the field.
Absolutely, and yeah, the way he's running this track right now just seems to be really gelling with this car, and you can see he's yeah, I mean there's no sign of oversteer or understeer in this car. You can kind of see heading into the corner, it goes exactly where he says, and he's able to run it comfortably out to the wall in both 2 and 4. You just saw there on this past lap here running with him. Kind of just has his marks that he keeps hitting lap after lap. So like you said, that tire wear is going to be a big difference. A little bit of neutral there off turn number 4. But even then, still looking very, very comfortable behind the wheel here. Tire wear is going to be a factor to watch out for in terms of how he adjusts to that. But is building up a solid gap right now that could play into his favor, even if it does start to affect him heavily. But you said it as well there. Traffic is going to be the huge factor that potentially he hasn't had to deal with before. And that's something he's going to have to work out here. But impressive pace here for the rookie Joshua Chin. Really kind of making a name for himself already here, just 36 laps into his Mega Driver 86 series debut.
One thing I noticed here is we're on board with Josh. Everything looks so smooth. He's not, as you said, no oversteer, no understeer. It just everything looks so smooth. He's putting the car right where he wants it to be. He's hitting his marks, and that's obviously one of many factors as to why he has jumped out to almost a second lead now as we complete lap 38.
Absolutely. And it's possible that this advantage that Shin has could go down over the course of the race as other drivers will probably hone in on the setup that he has. Reminder that the overall setup that these cars start with is all the same throughout this field. What everybody has, though, is adjustable tools within the cockpit. Both the as we have a car around on the bottom of the racetrack. No caution flag out right now. It's Michael Hossack in the number 24 car. He'll be slow rejoining, but we should stay green. But yeah, you have weight jacker adjustment, you have roll bar adjustment, and around a track like this, I don't know how much they're really using the brakes. Maybe a little bit. You do have brake bias adjustment too to kind of help with the balance, and you can change all of those in such a way that you'll have a vastly different racing car, vastly different driving car, depending on how you set up those tools. So it could be that Chin has found something that works, and the rest of the field is searching for right now, or it could simply be that he's just that much more comfortable with this car than everybody else out here. But starting to spread out up front. Pinheiro, good gap to Hibbs. Hibbs, in turn, good gap to Van de Sant, who has a reasonable gap to Musselman. There's a close battle here between Musselman and Frankenfield for the 5th position. Remember, Frankenfield on those fresher tires, and I think he's going to make this move now into turn number 1. But really, a lot of spread here inside the top 10. It's once we get outside the top 10 that things start to tighten up here with Deuce Castroneves leading this battle here of Eric Macedo, Tyler Fode, RC Enerson, Eric Troiano, all here in a line down this back straightaway.
Yeah, Chin, like you said, he has hit on something. You know what that something is here. Obviously we won't know until we get a chance to speak with him after the race. But for the first 42 laps, I have to say he is the head of the field. I don't know what he has hit on setup wise, but I'd be willing to bet those other cars that are trying to chase him down are probably thinking the same thing. That what does Chin have in his bag there that the other cars that are trying to chase him down may not have at this point.
Yeah, they're going to continue looking for that for sure over the course of this race, and we'll follow that story as it goes on. Again, right now, Chin over a second ahead of Adriano Pinheiro. Last time around, Pinheiro starting to break away a little bit into Chin's lead. I wonder if this is the tire wear starting to play in, but just a single lap there of advantage for the 56 might not be enough to really tell us the full story. We'll continue to follow as it looks like Chin might go a little bit faster than Pinheiro again, responding. So relatively comfortable for the driver of the 93 car right now, as he's relatively clear there of Pinheiro. Van de Sant, the next guy on track who ran a faster lap than Chin, even then, just barely. And Van de Sant, remember, on those fresher tires. So a little bit of a different strategy, and in theory should be running faster than the 93 car at this point in the race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I would about imagine that the cars that have not pitted yet, and there looks like there's a handful of them in the top 12 there, should be coming in relatively soon, and that's going to be something to watch. Is Chin and all of those others that are on that strategy? How are their cars going to adapt after this first run with new tires and a tank full of gas?
We'll head back to Macedo, chasing down Castroneves, as we're about to tick over to lap 50 in just a couple of laps' time. They tick away relatively quickly here, 22-second laps for these drivers. Almost 23 seconds once the tire wear kind of kicks in there. But here we go, Tyler Fode, RC Enerson. This is a great battle between two very talented race car drivers who've seen a lot of success over in our NASCAR series. RC has seen quite a bit of success here in the INDYCAR series. Fode has had a couple of wins, looking to add to his collection there. But right now, RC Enerson with the advantage through on the inside, past Tyler Fode. Fode's going to hang on there through turns 1 and 2. Onto, I believe it is actually, I looked it up real briefly, it is actually a shared track surface of both asphalt and granite. So there is a little bit of different coefficient of friction there depending on the lane that you run. But it seems like both lanes providing drivers with reasonable enough pace. But right now, and at least in that instance, RC Enerson on the bottom lane on the asphalt, finding the pace advantage, and once again doing so here with Macedo running up on that granite surface.
Yeah, we're watching. What a battle here for the ninth position, 8 and 9 positions between both these drivers. Obviously, a lot of respect between both of them. They're racing each other hard, but everyone ultimately is trying to catch the 93 car of Joshua Chen, who is, as you said, checked out in fashion, in absolute fashion. He has dominated. I think it's safe to say the first 52 laps of this race.
Absolutely, and comment as well from the chat here in the live stream. Going to shout out Klutz 2007. Joshua Chin has been racing in IndyCar. I'd imagine the IndyCar fixed leagues that they have here on iRacing for the good part of a decade is what they say. So obviously familiarity with the car, but um, despite that, showing up I think within the elite racing leagues and still putting on this type of performance, a lot of guys flock to this league because of the competitive nature that it has. So for Chin to still be able to do this and step in against this level of driver is still a very impressive feat. So even if he has all that familiarity, he's not a true rookie. He's still putting on one heck of a show because it is still a new league. It's still a new atmosphere for him. It's new drivers to compete against. Though I guess right now he's not really been competing or racing against anybody. He's been out on his own up front so far today.
Yeah, he's definitely holding his own here as we are on lap 55, and he has led every single one of them. But there are some cars, if you look at the scoring pylon there on the right hand side, that have made great charges through the field through the first 55 laps. There, you see the 06 car there. Don't call him Elio, but dudes Castroneves. You know what I have to say to him too. He has a strong social media presence. I have noticed as well. He definitely loves to put his liveries of his cars out there on social media for the world to see.
Absolutely, and we'll enjoy one of his liveries right here if we can get a good shot of it there. A little bit of a grayed out area on the track as he's right now fighting it out with Eric Triano. So he's on the outside there, the '06 car of Castroneves, as they head side by side into 3 and 4. This is good racing here, and we're seeing these two lines really forming for these two drivers. And really, just in general, guys able to make moves now as the runs die down, or excuse me, as the tires start to die out, giving opportunities here for different drivers. And Castroneves is a little bit high up there. He's going to get caught up by a lapped car who's up on the high lane. He's going to get passed by two more drivers. So for Castroneves, not what he wanted at that point in the race, but obviously he's going to have a chance to fight back. But there you go. Not sure who that was going one lap down. Might be Nick DeGroot. No, not quite. So not too sure who that was. A little bit further back, but it might be Mark Rebelos here. Just got in the way of the '06 and kind of hurt his run early on.
Yeah, Chin's gonna start catching some more of those lapped cars or cars that are on the tail end of the field, and that's gonna be, as we mentioned, how is Chin's car gonna react? We know how good Chin's car is when he's out in clean air and he's out there by himself, as you see. But how is his car gonna react when he starts catching the tail end of the field? Is that where Panero and company are going to be able to make their move and shrink that gap that Chin has got for himself?
For sure, yeah, and you kind of saw. I brought this up. At least it looked like maybe traffic slowed Chin down, just as you were talking about. Because for a few laps, Pinheiro was closing that gap back up, but you can see just there the pace that he's able to pull away with right now at this stage in the run is immense there. 1.7, 1.6, 1.8 0.17, 0.16, 0.18 seconds is still a huge margin. 0.13. If you're talking about tenths of a second at an oval, you're talking about two different zip codes. It's unbelievable pace that we're seeing from the 93 car at this stage of the race.
And not only is it an unbelievable pace, but he hasn't pitted yet. He is running 63 laps so far at this pace. So obviously he's going to have to come in. But you think about it, depending on what his fuel window looks like, he may only have to do this in 2 stops, maybe, depending on how many cautions we get.
Yeah, I mean that would be an impressive run, and I don't know exactly what the fuel window looks like here for these guys tonight, but it could potentially be. I don't know. One lap might be, or one stop might be too long for these guys to go. But yeah, two stops if we're looking at seems totally within the realm of possibility there for what these guys are running right now. Even running 64 here, I'd imagine maybe lap 70, lap 80 would be my estimate for when these guys would have to come down pit road, but it could be even later than that.
Yeah, definitely going to be worth monitoring. And the longer we go in this run, we wondered if there would be some drop off on tire wear from the guys that came in early to the guys that stayed out late. But looking at the data that we have, I don't see much drop off at all.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Chin, 22.5, his best lap, 23.1, his most recent lap, actually probably in traffic, if I'm being honest there, and it probably was there. Adriano Pinheiro, probably a better indication of that, though, 22.68 to a 22.98 after 60 laps of tire wear. That's nothing in terms of tire wear. We talk about 0.2 of a second there of difference between on the fastest tire, especially at a track here where it isn't very easy to overtake. You do really have to work to make that overtake, and you kind of have to set a guy up for a number of laps to make it all happen. So yeah, I mean, the track position definitely seems to be what's favored today. And I think we'll see, guys, if there are cautions that come out or opportunities for late race pit stops, I think we're going to see guys probably favor track position over fresh tires and a full tank of fuel, anything like that. Definitely track position seems to be at least the favorable metric to base your race around today.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And in track position, it's going to be interesting to see, as we talked about, the drivers that stumbled out of the blocks. What are they going to decide when it comes down to crunch time? Are they going to try to go for the win, or are they going to try to stay with the with the track position and points? So definitely a lot of things keeping our eye on as we're at lap 70, and as we've talked about throughout this whole race so far, it seems like Joshua Chin has the car to ahead of the field so far, but it looks like we do have our next caution.
And it's Tyler Fody there. Just going to lose the rear end of the car entering 1 and 2. Got to be careful there rejoining. No damage, but has that car beached on the bottom of the racetrack. Is going to bring out the second caution of the night, or at least third caution of the night, I suppose, after the restart or the initial start caution. But there's Tyler Fody having to get ahead of the pace car. So yeah, look pretty harmless. No contact obviously with anybody else on the racetrack, and it's yeah, just the 40 car, I think, just losing that rear end a little bit there. He was one of those guys who did come down pit road, so it wasn't like he was running on exceptionally old tires. Maybe just drove it in a little bit too deep here into turn number 1.
Yeah, it looks like I think you're absolutely right. Just a little too deep, and he he kind of lost the back end there a little bit. But luckily for him, he was able to spin out. Wasn't able to touch the inside wall, and then as he's getting back on the track, wasn't able to take out the cars that were coming by as well. So no harm, no foul, and Tyler will drive on, and he's got a little bit of work to do.
For sure. So we did have cars come down pit road. Joshua Chin, Adriano Pinheiro, of course, all making that call to pit, as well as Van de Sant and Frankenfield. Obviously, after that longer run that they ran, it now sets everybody back out onto the same strategy, except for Dudes Castroneves, who stayed out initially, is going to come down pit road here. He's going to grab a lap-led point, though. That's going to be important for the 06 car. Thinking about the championship a little bit there. We're going to bring it down here. He's going to go to the back of the line on this restart. But kind of a good position to be in. 1 lap extra fuel also just gives you a little bit of flexibility, too.
Yeah, it absolutely does as we recycle through the pits. And again, look who's on top. He went in the pits in the lead, and then comes back out in the lead as well. So this is what we were talking about right here. This is what we want to watch. You know, that first pit stop that he had. Obviously, the initial his initial first 71 laps, he was the head of the class. Now, this next session of set of laps, is his car going to act the same way, on rails as it did through the first 71 laps of this race?
Yeah, what this does is it gives another opportunity for guys like Adriano Pinheiro, Alex Van de Sant to really challenge Joshua Chin. It closes up that 1 second gap that was existent before that he had built up, and it gives them a chance to maybe try and try and get something, or try and get a move there on the 93 car, try to unsettle him, get past him. Maybe if they can get track position, they can hold off that car. But they've got to be able to make that move here on this initial start and not let him run away like he did on those last two restarts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's essential, obviously, that Pinheiro and everyone behind him try, whatever they can so far, because it seems like every time there's a restart and Chin's out in front, he gets a great jump, and he just can build his lead from there.
Absolutely. So pace car is going to peel off here. We'll have one more lap. Does Alex Van de Sant make a call to come down pit road? Interesting to see the one car down on the apron. What's this call from him? No, he's going to stay out on the track, maybe trying to lure somebody else in with him. That is a strategy call that we saw a couple of guys make at the US 500 is go down with the pace car. You can grab the most fuel basically available to you. As Michael Hossack's going to come out here, I wonder if he might mess things up for guys on this restart. They're going to allow him to drive on by. So here we go. Joshua Chin, Adriano Pinheiro, Alex Van de Sant, Chad Frankenfield, Gavin Hibbs, your top five. Look to this top three as potential guys that can, at least have looked so far like they have potential race-winning pace. It really has looked like the 93 exclusively so far. But could we see a challenge from Pinheiro? Could we see a challenge from Van de Sant? It's a goods restart, though, from Joshua Chin, and that's going to make life a lot harder for Pinheiro and Van de Sant. So here we go. We're back underway racing, lap number 75 here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Yeah, and again, just as we as we alluded to, what a start Joshua Chin has as we restart this race after the latest caution, and he jumps out to looks like a 1 second lead over second place Adriano Pinheiro.
Yeah, ridiculously quick start there. 7/10 he has over the 56 car already after the span of just a single lap. It's just ridiculous, the pace that he's been able to carry on these restarts. And on fresh tires, Joshua Chin has really just been untouchable. And now we kind of get to this point in the race where the rest of these guys are going to fight it out, and he's going to just continue to run that gap up.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely plays in his favor, as you mentioned. As much jostling as there is behind him, that's what he wants to see. As long as those cars are racing each other side by side, all he has to focus on is building that lead, and everything else will take care of itself.
Absolutely. So meanwhile, we're watching this battle here. Chad Frankenfield makes the move on Alexander Van de Sant. Frankenfield using that high lane. Van de Sant maybe thinks about going underneath again, but isn't quite able to get there. Now comes under attack from Gavin Hibbs as they come off of turn number 4. Chin's lead now up to 0.8 of a second on Pinheiro. And yeah, just that initial pace that Chin is able to launch with is just exceptional, and it seems like he's just able to carry that throughout the course of the run here as well. Could he kind of be a record to this championship battle coming out of nowhere here? Pinheiro, obviously, again, coming off of that win, and a P2 today would certainly not be a bad result for the 56 car, but you've got to be looking at what this 93's been doing tonight and be thinking to yourself, man, I mean, how do I compete with that? At least here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, you've got to hope that he isn't showing up to every track with that kind of pace throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. But as I learned, and I think a lot of other people learned last week, you cannot count out Adriano Pinheiro until that checkered flag waves. But I think you're absolutely right. With a P1 finish a couple weeks ago, And if things play out the way they are right now, a P2 finish, I don't think Pinero could have drew up a better start to his season right out of the gates with 2 podiums.
Absolutely. And speaking of podiums, how about this second place finisher last time out at the US 500, Mark Murphy, now breaks into the top 10. Been a little bit of a slower day for the driver in the number 69 car. Up 6 positions from his starting grid spot. So has made reasonable progress throughout the day, looking to try and get a little bit forward right now under attack from Nicholas Sudik. Sudik looks to the inside heading into turn number 1. Murphy just a little bit loose coming off the corner, and you could tell just wasn't able to get the drive off there, even with, I think Sudik looked even more squarely. But there you see, good little battle going on here for the last spot inside the top 10, and Murphy hangs on for now. But again, a little bit loose there heading into 3 and 4 is going to give an opportunity to Sudik on that inside lane.
Yeah, Mark Murphy captured a podium at the first race of the year a couple weeks ago. He is, in the top 10. Going to curious to see if he'll be able to withstand the onslaught he's getting, as you said, from Nicholas Sudik. But getting back to the top of the field there, don't look now as we have a wreck.
Oh my God, a huge wreck, and it's the 2 drivers we were just talking about, Murphy and Sudik. They got to be careful they're rejoining, but that's going to be our 4th caution of the night between them, and that's huge. That was a huge wreck there, and that's close racing, I think, just gone bad. We'll take a look at the Whiskey Cast replay, but not what you want to see between 2 guys racing it out for the position there.
No, absolutely not. And, we kind of put a little hex on both cars here as you see the replay.
Yeah, the old commentator's curse makes a return to this, and it might have been Murphy actually a little bit further up front who does lose it. It is. So Murphy making the mistake that we saw. We saw this with Bill Cawley the second earlier in the race, and it was almost the same type of incident there. As we'll go back, take a look at the 69 car through 3 and 4. Watch his line as well and maybe see if there's something that we can find with these cars that's been unsettling them. As here we go. He's running that higher line, so actually I think Cawley was a little bit lower on the racetrack, but here you see Murphy just on that seam is where it starts to get unsettled. I wonder if there's maybe just a little bit of difference in the banking between those 2 materials that just slightly unsettled the rear end of the car, or just a little bit too quick on the throttle, something as simple as that. And around those 2 go, collects Nicholas Sudik in that one, and again, I'd imagine their days are both over, or at least close to it, as a suspension damage on both of those.
How identical was that to the crash earlier in the race involving, Kevin Borelli? Because you look at that there, and when Murphy goes around, Sudik has nowhere to go. So it's kind of a splitting image as to what we've seen earlier with Kevin Borelli. The car in front of him goes around, and he has nowhere to go, and he has to run into the side pod there.
Yeah, very, very similar to that incident, and that's kind of why it's interesting. And again, at the top of the show, we talked about it, right? Guys are struggling with grip, coming off of 4, coming off of 2, but seeing it mid corner as well, where I think guys are settling between the 2 corners, and again just losing that rear end. So really intriguing to see there. It's happening, I think, early in the corner than I personally expected looking at practice. But yeah, interesting to see there 2 accidents in the same corner, effectively the same incident taking out 2 cars.
Yeah, that's exactly you're exactly right. It's like I said, a spitting image of what we've seen earlier in the race. So hopefully, the other drivers that are going into that particular turn, they don't get collected in any other wreck, as well as we are at lap 88, and as we have throughout the race so far, and to lap 88, it's Joshua Chin and the rest of the field, I think, is the best way to sum this up. He has been the car that has hit on the setup so far. He has led every single lap. So, and I think this is where Josh has the advantage, it seems like, so far. And I would love to hear your input on this. Restarts. He has absolutely mastered so far. He has mastered the restarts here in New Hampshire.
He really has, and it's partially what the advantage iRacing gives him, and partially just the way he's been able to catch Pinheiro off guard on every restart. Um, iRacing, the way it works is we don't have restart zones here, at least not in the IndyCar series, as they don't run that in real life either. And so you're kind of just waiting on that leader and figuring out when is he gonna go. And as the second car in line, you just have to react. And so instinctively, you're always going to be at a disadvantage if you're having to react to somebody rather than, knowing exactly when they're going. So that's one advantage that Chin gets. But the other is that I think so far what he's been able to do is really catch Pinheiro off guard, and you can kind of pick and choose. Once that pace car peels off, especially the way we do restarts here, it's you have a very large window of where you can restart the car, and it looks like Chin's been going relatively early. So guys kind of getting settled in, getting ready to go, normally might wait for maybe a quarter of the way down the front straightaways when you expect to go. It looks like Chin's going coming off of turn number 4 almost, and we'll watch here again on this restart. When does Chin accelerate? Because that so far has caught Pinheiro off guard. I'd be hoping that Pinheiro's kind of starting to pick up on this and starting to learn a little bit from what Chin is doing. But yeah, he's been exceptional on restarts. We could see that again here just now. Let's actually, if we can, pull up the dashboard here of Joshua Chin, see exactly when he goes. Still exiting, and there you see right there, exiting turn 4 still. So some guy's still on the oval, and Chin is going early, and you can see the advantage that gives him instantly over Pinheiro, 0.3 of a second, straight off the bat.
Yeah, he has absolutely figured something out here, especially when it comes to these restarts.
For sure. We're back to racing here, lap 91 of 2:25. After that was the 5th caution, I believe, of the night. 4th caution. We've lost track once the timing and scoring lost track, unfortunately. But still great racing yet to come, as we haven't quite yet reached that halfway point in this event. Here we go, racing through the field as Chin starting to pull out his lead up front, as he does. Meanwhile, you have Gavin Hibbs and Alexander Van de Sant. Gibbs got the advantage on Van de Sant there on that initial restart. So the defending race winner, the defending champion, right now struggling just a little bit, as Troiano also looking up high, trying to make a move on him. But Troiano, of course, needs to look out for Ethan Stanley in the 91 car.
Yeah, absolutely. Ethan Stanley up to P6. And going to be interesting to follow him. I know he is a newcomer here as well. Didn't talk much about him a few weeks ago, opening the season up. We'll keep an eye on him and see how he finishes tonight.
Absolutely. So a little bit of a battle further back. We believe that was Musselman and Ryan, but they straighten out onto the back straightaway. Meanwhile, we go back further forward and just trying to find battles here throughout the field as guys again separate right now. But here we go, Van de Sant over Troiano. Troiano trying that higher lane, trying to see what he can do to make that work. Meanwhile, Van de Sant pulling up a good run here on Gavin Hibbs. This is a great little battle scrap for 3rd position between these guys.
Yeah, it absolutely is. We're watching it here on screen. As we've talked about with other drivers as well. Great battling, great racing. Very respectable they are to each other, and as the battle continues here on lap 96.
For sure. Let's watch on board with Van de Sant as here he goes high on the racetrack. And if you've seen Alexander Van de Sant before, you know he's always the first guy to try the high lane in races, and you saw him make it work there into turn number 1 with the run he gets off of 4. Using that high lane, Van de Sant up into 3rd position on Gavin Hibbs. What a move there, and that's how you set it up. But now he has to defend, so is he going to use that high lane again? He does. You can see he's going higher than we've really seen anybody else go, staying all 4 wheels in that granite surface, and it's working wonders for him right now. He's staying ahead of Gavin Hibbs. Going to try it again in turn numbers 1 and 2. See if he can make that stick and finally pull clear, and he does. That's a huge advantage that he's found there on the top lane.
Yeah, it absolutely is. We're going to continue to monitor to see if that is the high line that is going to work for him, and hopefully if it'll help his car out to catch the current race leader of 99 laps, Joshua Chin.
Absolutely, Pinheiro, yes, it's 0.6 of a second. He hasn't let this gap open up too much, which is good for Pinheiro. But what he has done is he's been advancing past, or he's been, advancing the gap to Van de Sant and Hibbs at quite some pace here as these two are continuing to fight. This is a great battle we have here for third. Gavin Hibbs putting on a heck of a running here as we have our third caution of the event. Van de Sant stays in front. We're going to go and check out what brought out this next one as we just tick over to lap 100.
Yeah, definitely want to see what brought out this latest caution, and here we go.
Sudik and wait a second, that was the same exact. Oh, excuse me, that was the wrong one. That was the past caution. That would explain why I thought that was exactly the same. But this could be a carbon copy of what we just saw there. There's Tails Toledo on the bottom, losing it and collecting another car.
Man, again, as we talked about with the first two wrecks of this evening, put that one in that same column. Again, you had the car in front of him, lost the back end, and he collects another car because they're running the same line. And that car there, Toledo, had absolutely nowhere to go.
Yeah, and you can see it's basically an instantaneous snap of oversteer for Toledo. I think the onboard on this one's going to be really interesting. The other ones seem potentially a little bit more progressive of a spin. This one seemed very sudden there for Tails Toledo. So here we go, on board with the driver of the number 77 car. Taking a look here, down, he's running, I think, a lower lane than we've really seen anybody, and it just quits on him.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And, and Toledo obviously spun around, and he collected another car with him, just like the previous wrecks as well.
Absolutely. So he heads back to pit road. As we go back to live pictures here, running lap 102 of 225 here. So still yet to approach that halfway mark. We have approached, though, an hour here on the broadcast. And I want to thank you all for joining us tonight here for the Magic Mile 225. We'll take this opportunity to talk about our fantastic premier sponsors here at the Elite Racing Network. And we're going to start with Blue Egg Marketing. If you're a small business owner, then Blue Egg Marketing is the marketing department for you. Blue Egg Marketing is your absolute biggest fan. Whatever your constraints are, they help catalyze creativity. And Blue Egg Marketing will help your business punch above its weight class. I also want to shout out TA Services. For over 36 years, TA Services has been a trusted domestic and international full-service third-party logistics provider, offering freight brokerage, managed transportation, warehousing and fulfillment, and cross-border logistics services to shippers around the globe. TA Services moves what matters to you. Finally, want to shout out BreezyCam. It's a venture-backed tech company based in Toronto and Boston, and they're on a mission to reimagine the group photo experience. Gone are the days of carrying around a tripod or selfie stick, and they'll help their customers and users tell better stories about meaningful moments. Today, you can find Breezy at well-known sports venues and cultural landmarks across 4 different continents. Also want to give the chance for you there, Derek, to talk about the Push to Pass podcasts.
Yeah, thank you. The Push to Pass podcast, myself, the host of that, and maybe bringing in a co-host, had him come on last night. But if you're into INDYCAR racing, definitely check that out live Thursday nights on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. We have breakdowns of the previous race in INDYCAR preview. Well, then we'll also preview the upcoming race, driver interviews, other podcasters, other individuals that cover the sport of INDYCAR. And then also towards the end, I take a look at the betting aspect of INDYCAR as well. A great guy on Twitter that does the betting aspect, so he'll join us as well. So remember, Thursday nights on 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go find Push to Pass, and you should be able to hear it there.
Awesome. Great to have you on board with us this season here for this 2022 Mega Driver 86 series. The pace car is going to peel off there. One more lap to go back to green flag racing. And what we didn't quite talk about there during the caution was Adriano Pinheiro making the call to come down pit road along with a couple of other guys. But off strategy move here for the 56. He spent most of his race up front. This time, though, giving up track position for maybe a strategy call here. Lap 101 complete there. and he's going to be hoping to maybe move forward with some of that advantage. That now means that Chin is going to have a defending race winner, Alex Van de Sant, starting behind him. We'll see how this restart goes. Can Van de Sant stay a little bit closer to Chin on this restart? Does he have the same pace that Pinheiro and Chin have had? So far, it hasn't quite looked like it, but also track position could change a lot here for Van de Sant. Here he goes. Good restart for Chin, but Van de Sant able to keep him relatively honest on the initial start. Not as big of a gap as we've sometimes seen there when Pinheiro's been in second.
Yeah, absolutely. Is going to be curious to see if Chin again can continue his dominance here through the first 106 laps of this race. So is there someone in the back that is that can catch him and gain on him? That is just kind of sitting back and biding their time.
Absolutely, and so Van de Sant also pulling a good gap up to over Hibbs as we have another caution out on the racetrack. So right now, guys, just struggling to kind of settle into to a long run here, as we've had a few short ones. Led to the Whiskey Cast replay, and it's Tyler Fody gets hit from behind, and a hard hit to the outside wall there for the 40 car. Hard hit as well. I think that was Mark Rebelas hit him. Another car there, so 3-car incident. Michael Hossack, I think, might have been in that one, or excuse me, it might have been Eric Troiano. But it all kicks off with Tyler Fody getting hit from behind and thrown into that outside wall.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he hit rather hard in that wall. I know Fody had some issues earlier in the race that he was trying to work through. But now, as you see up on screen, his issues just got a whole lot bigger, and it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to continue as he completely goes around into the outside retaining wall. And then, just to add insult to injury, there is a car that comes by right here towards the end and clips him right there as well, spinning him around just a couple more times.
Yeah, so here we're going to see. So it was the 91 of Ethan Stanley, I think, that turned Fody. You saw Eric Troiano get caught up in that as well, and I think that was Michael Hossack. No, not Michael Hossack. Who was the last car who got caught up in that one? Maybe Mark Rebelas was the last car to get caught up in that incident there, and I think it was. But yeah, let's go back here. It was the 91 of Ethan Stanley that I think just drove it in really deep there on the 40 car and initiated this whole incident.
Yeah, I think you're right, but obviously the replay will tell us, will confirm what we're seeing. But yeah, it's a war of attrition. I think right now, as we've seen a handful of cars get caught up in wrecks so far.
So here you go, Ethan Stanley in the 91 car. Just in front of him is Tyler Fody. Let's see on the onboard what happens here. Just clips the back of the 40 car and sends him around and initiates that whole incident.
Yeah, it does, and again, Tyler Fody has work cut out for him. Issues earlier in the race, and now just to add insult to injury, he may be his day may be over.
Yeah, and I think it's day over for a couple of other guys there as well. Troiano looks like his day is done. Fody, Rebelas is done, and a field that started at 30 cars, down to just 16, still running on the racetrack. 17 if you count Victor Del Porto, who's down 8 laps, actually, as he stays running, but the rest of them all stationary due to incidents. So you said it. Absolutely a race of attrition here. We're almost down to half of our starting cars currently in it here as we just passed the halfway point now.
Who would have thought, a few weeks ago, I think, what was it? Was it 99 lead changes? I believe that's what the final tally was, if memory serves me correct. But tonight, as we have, 114 laps left, we have had 1 leader so far.
Yeah, that's it's been a very different story to the US 500. Yeah, Joshua Chin, wonder what he might have been able to do out at that event as well. But there you see Van de Sant again trying out that apron there. Not sure what the plan is for the 1 car, but he seems to like just doing that under caution. Not sure if he's, what minuscule fuel save you can get there by running the shortest way around the racetrack. But yeah, we'll keep an eye. He was doing a good job at keeping Chin honest, I think, on that restart. Didn't allow that gap to grow too much. But of course, we're going to have to see as to whether or not he can not just keep up with Chin, but maybe make a move when it comes down to it. That's what's really going to matter here for these guys. And so far, nobody's been able to, again, kind of be within that same, really within the same area code as Joshua Chin.
Yeah, it's remarkable the jumps that he gets on these restarts. So if you're in P2 right now, you got to be thinking, how do I on this restart, how do I get a jump that is good enough to keep up with Joshua Chen? Because we've seen time after time tonight the jumps that he has got when the race goes back green.
Absolutely. So here we go. We're going to get this field back to green flag racing, and we're going to watch it from the back of Joshua Chin's car, and we're going to see what this gap really looks like when he gets onto it. And there you see, again, off of turn number 4, just that gap that he can create on the initial restart. And that's what's helped him so far. It's made him untouchable so far. Let's see here if Van de Sant can stay close. And again, better restart from Van de Sant, but yeah, I mean, actually, it's already 0.4 of a second, so a little bit worse than his last one there. Chin, again, just continues. And guys, it's interesting. I think when a guy goes early, it's even harder, because if you anticipate him going early, you could potentially mess things up in a huge way on restarts. So guys are having to be extra cautious.
Yeah, if this plays out and Joshua Chen leads from lap 1 to lap 225, I'm going to be interested to hear from him, about the setup and what he was looking for in a setup, and then also to his restarts, because he's got to have something that is unteachable when it comes to restarts, especially here at New Hampshire.
Well, what I think Joshua Chin has is experience, not here in the Elite Racing Leagues, but experience with this IR18 car. Because again, this is not something I think that many drivers would be able to just step in and pick up on. But we'll keep an eye out on that gap up front if Van de Sant is able to close it up. But we're going to continue following some of these battles a little bit further back in the pack, where they're maybe a little bit closer here, as R.C. Anderson makes a move on podium finisher from 2 weeks ago, A.J. Musselman. R.C. Anderson, another one of those guys looking to bounce back, similar to Fody. Fody, unfortunately, of course, involved in the last couple of cautions there. This most recent one not due to his fault, but out of this one, of course. R.C. Anderson, meanwhile, has had a relatively quiet night, been thereabouts in the top 5 area, but hasn't been able to move forward from that spot either. His fastest lap right now, pace has been a little bit off of what the leaders are running. That actually just sets his fastest lap of the race right there and matches Chad Frankenfield in front of him. So maybe starting to find a little bit of something there for the 50 car.
That's somebody else that we haven't mentioned tonight until now. Chad Frankenfield, he was in position for a podium a few weeks back as well, but in the closing laps, if you remember correctly, had a issue that caused him to miss the podium. So I'm sure he's looking for a strong bounce back here in New Hampshire this evening.
Absolutely, he must be, and he's got it in his sights with Gavin Hibbs just 0.8 of a second up the road. He's gonna have to find something though for the drive of the number 95 car, because at least on this particular run, it seems like Hibbs has been kind of the clear third best driver here tonight, at least in this group of cars. Obviously, Adriano Pinheiro is a guy that we're gonna have to follow as well, as right now he runs in the 8th position, being chased down by Eric Macedo. It hasn't looked like Pinheiro's been able to make much headway, with those fresher tires that he has on board. It's not like it's been making a huge difference there, and that's the worst thing that you can imagine there if you're driving the number 56 car, is you may be better on fuel strategy right now if it goes green to the end, but realistically, honestly, you're probably in a position where you might be wishing you hadn't given up that track position.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely spot on, and it does seem like that nobody can out pedal right now the leader, but we still have numerous laps left to go for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still so much can happen in this race that we're yet to see, as we're going to head into the last 100 laps of this race in just a couple of rotations of this 1 mile New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Adriano Pinheiro then 6/10 behind Dalton Fredericks. Fredericks, the rookie from last week, who had some impressive pace early on. Was hoping to capitalize on that. Wasn't quite able to get there, but could look very good here tonight. He's trying to get into the top 6, chasing down AJ Musselman. So Musselman hanging on right now to that 6th position. He's going to try that higher lane there. Only about a lane or half a lane even higher than, Fredericks only about half a lane higher than Musselman, but he gets the run on the back straightaway, and that's going to give him the bottom heading into 3 and 4. Musselman should get the run off the corner, but we've got a battle on our hands for sure for the 6th position, as Fredericks has been looking just that little bit quicker these past couple of laps here, trying to find his way past, but he needs to now make sure that he doesn't open the door here for Pinheiro. Around the outside now is Musselman defending back. Fredericks made the move in 1 and 2. Still side by side here, nose ahead for Musselman, and Fredericks though going to drive it in a little bit deeper this time. Might be able to just clear the 54 car, but does Musselman come back underneath here into 3 and 4? It looks like he might have the run to do so. He's going to decide better of it because he has Adriano Pinheiro to worry about now. And Pinheiro, could he go for 2 and 1? He's not quite going to be able to get there, but what a run there by Pinheiro through 3 to instantly clear AJ Musselman. Almost got Dalton Fredericks too for the 6th position, and this is what Adriano Pinheiro needs to do at this point in the race. Is he has to make some more aggressive moves and kind of force the issue to regain the track position that he lost. So all things we're going to have to keep an eye out for. Meanwhile, up front, it's still 7/10 of a second from Joshua Chin to Alex Van de Sant. Van de Sant then a second ahead of Gibbs. Gibbs 1.3 ahead of Frankenfield, who's also 1.3 ahead of Enerson. And then you've got kind of a reasonable gap from Enerson back to Fredericks, 2.5 seconds. So that top 5 really kind of in a separate zone to the rest of this field, at least on this particular run. We go a little bit further back. We got a run here. Ryan Schold chasing down Eric Macedo. And Eric Macedo chasing down Ethan Stanley. Good little battle here for the 9th position too. So we'll keep following this battle here on your screen, as it's one of the closest that we have. Ryan Schold closing in on Eric Macedo. Trying to find his way back here. Macedo doing a good defensive job, but Schold gets the run to the inside. And into 3 and 4, he's going to have that bottom lane. Ooh, a little bit of a lockup almost looked like that Schold made there. A little bit of smoke came off the rear of that car. Kind of a little surprising to see there. It's going to really hurt his run, obviously, into turn number 1. So something happened there for the 4 car. If it was a tire lockup, he did a good job kind of saving it from there. But now he's going to fall under pressure from Sean Ryan, who's going to peek to the inside, not quite be able to make the move just yet. But Schold, Macedo, Ryan. This is a great little scrap we have here going for the final spot inside the top 10. Schold now to the inside of Eric Macedo. Macedo, though, hangs on the outside, and that's kind of the race we've been seeing here. That outside lane, good for defensive moves. You've really got to slide it in there, drive it in there, and slide up in front of the car behind in order to complete that overtake. Otherwise, he's driving right back around the outside here. As we watch here, Schold gets passed by Ryan. Ryan going to try and make the move on Macedo as well. And there you see, he drives it in, is able to clear. And Macedo struggling right now, and Schold should get by with relative ease. Macedo very slow off of turn number 4. And that now is going to hand the position over to Schold. So Schold, Sean Ryan, and Ryan Schold. make the move there on Eric Macedo. Meanwhile, gap up front, little update on that. Alex Van de Sant keeping Joshua Chin in his crosshairs, 0.7 of a second between these two drivers. We'll take a look and see when we might see the next, next group of lapped cars come down. And still some ways to go before they start meeting lap traffic, as there you can see your track map at the top right-hand side of your screen. It's about basically the length of corners 1 and 2, but I'd imagine that's going to close with relative ease for some of these guys. Dudes Castroneves, the one running in 15th position, last car on the lead lap. Last time around ran a 23.66 to Joshua Chin's 22.74. Alex Van de Sant matching Chin with a 22.75 as well. So we have a little bit of a race going on up front, and traffic can certainly play into this if we stay green here, allowing for cars to go a lap down.
Yeah, I see that, getting back, still dominant leader of the race here is Joshua Chin, and he just continues to tick away lap after lap.
For sure. I haven't talked about Chris Wright much tonight. Chris running in the 13th position, one of our ERN presenters. Runs on the Monday Nights series, I believe it is. And yeah, having a reasonable run here. A little bit of a quiet night there for sure. But he stayed out of trouble, I think, importantly, for the driver number 57 car. Going to right now running in 13th position, trying to work his way into the top 10, has Eric Macedo just ahead of him. Macedo has been really struggling recently with pace. High 23s. He's really kind of the only guy in this part of the racetrack that's running these high 23s. Nick DeGroot struggling as well right now with those high 23s. You really should not expect to be seeing anybody running slower than kind of a 23.1. Most guys you'd want to be seeing them in kind of your high 22s is going to be an ideal lap time. And that's generally what we're seeing up front. Start to see as we get outside the top 10 more 23s being run, but high 23s for Macedo and DeGroot is not working out too well. Same with Castroneves as well. Just struggling a little bit for pace at this point in the run.
Yeah, definitely a lot of cars that were in contention a couple weeks ago at Michigan are definitely falling off the pace. And as you mentioned, Nick DeGroot, impressive run that he had a few weeks ago, and he has definitely lost a little bit of pace here this evening.
Yeah, there something not quite right there, I guess, there with the 89 car. Unfortunate for him, but we'll continue following the race here, as right now passes Eric Macedo and has 2 seconds up to get to Ryan Schuld. Ethan Stanley, AJ Musselman, the closest battle that we have out on the racetrack right now. Musselman 0.2 of a second ahead of Stanley. And Stanley's going to give that really high line another go. We saw Van de Sant put it to good effect earlier on in this event, to get by Hibbs. And Stanley's going to try it again here, just like Van de Sant did. Really, all 4 wheels there on the granite surface. Gets that huge run off the corner. And not much that Musselman can do there. As just, again, gives you that big run coming off the corner, and there you go, Ethan Stanley into the 8th position.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, I know we highlighted him earlier in the race, but a new, not a newcomer to the league, but a newcomer when it comes to the top 10. We didn't talk about him much a few weeks ago. So what a good run so far for Ethan Stanley. Hopefully he can take this to the finish.
Yeah, we'll see. Right now, solid pace, just low 23s. You might want to find a little bit more, but generally he's running similar lap times all the way up to, honestly, even Adriano Pinheiro. Pinheiro is the one that's most shocking to me. He's down in 7th right now, running those low 23s as well.
Yeah, he absolutely has. He has spent, it seems like, the majority of his night up towards the front, trying to chase down current race leader Joshua Chin, but Pinheiro off the pace just a little bit. He probably can't wait to get in the pits change tires, fuel up, and make some adjustments for this final push.
Yeah, for sure. As meanwhile, up front, something major there as Joshua Chen, I think, just gets caught up by traffic. Gap closes up pretty significantly here. It's down to 0.5 of a second as Gavin Hibbs hits pit road there, likely for the last time tonight. But here we go, Chin and Van de Sant. It's now below 0.4 of a second. Has Van de Sant found something, or has Chin just been struggling to clear lap traffic? It's a battle on for the lead here. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Van de Sant coming on strong here on the outside lane. Chin might hit pit road there. No, he's going to stay out, but he's stuck right now behind the 83 of Eric Macedo, and it's given such a huge advantage here to the one car.
Yeah, it absolutely has, and this was something we told everyone to keep their eye on, is we know what kind of car Joshua Chin has in clean air, but when he gets to that tail end traffic, how is that car going to react, and we're seeing that right now.
Absolutely. So the first time today that we're getting the opportunity to see, what is... what can Van de Sant provide to this battle? What can Chin do in lap traffic? We saw Van de Sant trying that high lane and Macedo just staying up there with him, and that hurt Van de Sant's run too. So it's going to go both ways between these guys. We could see some accordion effect. Also factor into this, the fact that these guys are going to have to come down pit road relatively soon to grab their last stop, their last bit of fuel, fresh set of tires, and make it to the end. Can one of them make an overcut or undercut work? Pit on a different lap to the other one, try and gain an advantage here. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Right now, gap up to 0.7 of a second once again. Van de Sant, I think, is going to be hoping for more and more traffic here to really hurt, Joshua Chin.
Yeah, we finally got a result to see how Chin's car was going to be when it come up to lap traffic, and something else that we didn't point out. That little onslaught right there by the number one car. That's the first time that Chin, if you think about it, has been challenged all night.
Yeah, it's the first time there's been any pressure on the 93, and now there's a little bit more to come down pit road and respond, because Alexander Van de Sant, who was close to Joshua Chin, could taste the gearbox there of the 93, hits pit road. Chin, meanwhile, staying out on track one more lap. He's going to respond, though, immediately. Hits pit road on his marks. Looks like he makes it without any issue. And there you go. So Joshua Chin, we'll see how they kind of bleed out here. Here comes Van de Sant off of pit road, and we're gonna keep an eye out on this. The blend line looks like Van de Sant just makes it through past that cone. No errors there from the one car. And where is Chin? He's sitting on pit road, still on the jacks. Now gets released. Van de Sant heading through turns 1 and 2. It's going to be close to see how they merge back out on the racetrack. I think it's still going to be advantage Chin. It is, but with kind of the pace that Van de Sant's able to carry, will he be able to close that back up? Not quite. It might be more or less the same as what it was there when they came down pit road.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see, we do have a new leader, obviously, but that'll cycle back through as soon as Chad Franken, RC Enerson, and others pit here for the final time.
All right, so Frankenfield leading the way right now. Last pitted lap 86, so he's a little bit more of a buffer. Same with Enerson and Fredericks. A little more of a buffer until they have to pit. What they could do is stay out on the racetrack and lock Chin and Van de Sant a lap down. So if a caution flag does come out, that really hurts those guys, especially if it comes out, a little bit later when they're not on quite as fresh tires. So yeah, this could be interesting here. By pitting earlier, those two put themselves in a little bit of a danger zone for now. But Frankenfield, Enerson, Fredericks are the next group to come down, and then you have another 15 or so laps before Pinheiro, Stanley, Schold, Wright, Hossack all have to come down as well. And they're also, actually, they're not one lap ahead of Chin and Van de Sant. So right now it is limited to Frankenfield and Enerson. The second those guys come down, then all of a sudden Chin, Van de Sant kind of back in play here. So I think if you're Frankenfield or you're Enerson or you're really anybody else, you're hoping that the caution flag comes out relatively soon here within the next maybe 2 to 3 laps, because again, that's going to lock down those two main challengers a lap.
Oh, absolutely. You know, like you said, the two people right now that are got to be cheering the most, well, driving, but cheering the most are the P1 and P2 right now, Frankenfield and Enerson, because if there was a caution to come out right now, that would play well into their strategy to the final laps of this race.
For sure. Following Frankenfield then, staying out on the racetrack for another lap. Any indication that the 15 is going to come down pit road? Not quite. Same with Enerson, staying out on the racetrack for now, and it's big gaps up front. I wonder, once you're kind of within the pack here, it's about a second between Van de Sant and Chin, but once again, there's really no cars in front of Chin. Hossack, a whole 6 seconds up the road from the 93. Kind of makes it that there's no real opportunity quite yet for the one car to maybe close, as Frankenfield is onto pit road. So that's one more opportunity lost for those guys to be locked a lap down. And I'd expect Enerson to come down pit road here relatively soon as well. If Frankenfield does, if Fredericks already has. 50 car of Enerson down on the bottom of the racetrack, looks slow. He is going to dive onto pit road, so there it is. And now Chin and Van de Sant cycle back to the lead lap.
Yeah, unfortunately, those two cars there, Frankenfield and Enerson, respectively, just couldn't quite get that caution they were looking for. They stayed out as long as they could, but as we recycle back through, it's going to be, again, Joshua Chin at the head of the field.
So there you go. Stanley also on pit road. And so Chin and Van de Sant move up to 5th and 4th. Or 5th and 6th, excuse me. Pinheiro staying up front for now. Another opportunity potentially for him. Again, we have probably 15 laps here before they're going to be required to come down pit road, just in terms of fuel level. Big gap out for Pinheiro up front. Michael Hossack and Chris Wright battling it out for 3rd position right now on the racetrack. Effectively a little bit further back.
Yeah, definitely a good battle we're watching here as these laps start to dwindle down. We are at 169 of 225, and if you're just tuning in, the only thing you need to know is it is Joshua Chin versus the rest of the field. He has been head and shoulders tonight above everyone else, but the race isn't over yet.
Yeah, race is far from over here. Right now, though, not too much going on the racetrack between drivers. Everyone kind of settling into a groove, and we often see this right after green flag pit stops. It's kind of a little bit more of a spread throughout the field. Again, closest battle we have on track here is 0.8 of a second between Hossack and Chris Wright, and obviously that's not a very close battle at all. The one thing we're watching right now is, of course, this next group of cars that need to come down pit road. Adriano Pinheiro, Ryan Schuld is the first of them to make the call as he dives onto pit road for his final stop of the night. So you have Pinheiro, Hossack, and Wright, the 3 cars left to pit, make their final stop before we head towards the checkered flag here. 172 laps complete of this 225-mile, 225-lap event here at the Magic Mile in New Hampshire.
You know, I know you were touching on earlier, right before we went on air. How many tracks do we go to that have a mascot?
Yeah, that was a that was an interesting one. Yeah, New Hampshire Motor Speedway mascot is Milo the Moose, introduced in 2009. He wears a fire suit with the Speedway Motorsports logo, no, not New Hampshire Motor Speedway, operated by Speedway Motorsports. Yeah, he's apparently, I've got I wonder if there's a picture of Milo the Moose out there. I've got to actually take a look at this now. Milo the Moose. take a look and see what he might look like, if that's even. Oh yeah, he's a. It's basically it's a moose wearing sunglasses and a racing helmet. I'll maybe kind of like the 1950s, 1960s, and a New Hampshire race suit. So how about that? I don't think there's too many racetracks that do have mascots out there. So cool to see. Of course, he and the Firestone Firehawk are going to have to fight it out there in Victory Lane. I'm sure the people here, virtual people here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, would certainly pay for that showdown.
Oh, absolutely. I think that would. You know what? You could put that on pay-per-view, and you could probably sell that out real quick.
I was gonna say I've been loving found I think it's the Death Hawk on Twitter, spectacular Twitter account, the Firehawk, always leering whenever you watch an interview. It's just always in the background, the Firestone Firehawk, the most unsettling thing that you could see, and yeah, it's I'm sure it's the most terrifying thing that many people see when they're out at an IndyCar race there, and Milo the Moose gonna give him a run for his money, I think.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, But speaking of IndyCar, for people that do follow IndyCar, they are off this weekend, but the next 2 weeks will wrap up the 2022 NTT INDYCAR Series, and what a points battle is this shaping up. Talked a little bit about it on the podcast last night. Go check that out. But the captain, Roger Penske, has got an interesting strategy ahead of him for these last 2 races, because not only is his driver leading, Will Power, but in second place is his driver as well, Joseph Newgarden. So the captain is in quite a pickle here these last 2 races. The Grand Prix of Portland will be next weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting battle, because it's basically just like the old days. It's Penske versus Ganassi, right? You have 2 Penske drivers in Power and Newgarden, and then 2 Ganassi drivers in Ericsson and Dixon. And I think there's a 5th driver who's still kind of in it. I forget who that is, though. Not sure if you have that.
Don't forget Alex Palou as
so
well.
It's 3 Ganassi,
So from Ganassi. But for people that did watch the race last weekend there in the Worldwide Technology Raceway, which I know you're familiar with, how hard were people rooting for David Malukas? If he just had a couple more laps, he was going to catch Newgarden.
Yeah, and that's hugely impressive from a guy who came over from Europe as well. He wasn't really part of the road to Indy, so next to no familiarity with ovals, as on track Joshua Chin, Alex Van de Sande, everybody cycles through on pit stops as Pinheiro finally pits. Dave Huckleberry also texting. Pato still in it. Scott McLaughlin, I think, still mathematically in it. I think mathematically there's quite a few still in the championship battle here, but it's really kind of those top 4, top 5 drivers that are the protagonists. But yeah, Malukas has been impressive. Lundgaard, of course, has been very impressive. Or excuse me, was Malukas a Road to Indy driver? He might have actually been. I might have had that backwards.
Yeah, he. There's a lot of talk with him. He could potentially be, and we don't know how the whole Alex Palou situation is going to play out. It's turned real ugly with all the legal battles. But I would not be surprised to see David Malukas, in that number 10 NTT data car in the not so distant future.
That could be very interesting for sure. I wonder, I think this rookie class is so impressive. Last year's obviously you had, Scott McLaughlin, you had Roman Grosjean kind of stepping in there as the rookies, but not really rookies. Both of them highly accomplished racing drivers in other series. But this time around, you have genuine kind of young talent as the rookie standings, and there's so much, I think, to look forward from those guys. Obviously, you have Kyle Kirkwood stepping into Andretti Autosport, kind of filling that gap that Alexander Rossi is leaving there. Christian Lundgaard, David Malukas have both looked exceptional at certain points this season. Callum Ilott as well has looked very good. Ilott as well, the performance he's put on, considering he's the equipment he has with Juncos, has been very good too. So great rookie battle, and looking forward to seeing what those guys are able to bring from moving on in the future. hopefully getting some bigger and better opportunities, or escalating the teams that they're with them, because I think all of them are very capable young drivers.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. This is a excellent rookie class from Christian Lundgaard, who just signed a extension with Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan Racing within the last couple weeks, and then the success that David Malukas has had over at Dale Coyne Racing with veteran Takuma Sato. But an interesting point that you brought up, and I want to hammer home, talking about Callum Ilott. I had the opportunity to interview him this year at the month of May for the 500, and I told him I was impressed with the way that he and his team have ran all year leading up to that. Just because, as you said, he is only, folks, if you don't know who Callum Ilott is, the success that this gentleman has had, they only have one car. So all this data that you're seeing up on the right hand side of the screen here, you have multiple teams have multiple cars. Dale Coyne, Chip Ganassi, Penske, etc. Not June Coast Racing. No, they have one car, and Callum Ilott, all the success in the world this year as a rookie with just one car team.
Yeah, he's been hugely impressive, and hopefully for his sake he continues to advance and kind of continue being being a player, and there's a reason. I mean, he's caught the eye of the Ferrari Driver Academy, was a member of that, was also a part of the Red Bull Junior team for a little bit initially, so kind of went back between Ferrari and Red Bull, both huge teams in Formula One that had their eyes on him. Funding ran out in Formula 2, moved his kind of vision over to the United States, and he potentially has found a very long career for himself running over here in the States.
Yeah, that he has, and there could be talk next year that Juncos adds another car to their stable. So how much better is that going to make the driving skills of Callum Ilott when he has someone else to rely on for in-car data? But getting back to the race at hand here, we're at 193 laps of 225, and it's the old Aerosmith song. It's the same song and dance here with lap 193. It's been the Joshua Chen versus the field here.
Yeah, it's been an impressive showing as he's now 2 seconds out up front with the lead there. As we have just over 30 laps to complete here in this event. Alex Van de Sant hasn't quite had anything for the 93 car since they both came down pit road. It's been advantage 93 ever since then. Van de Sant right now kind of in a world of his own, 2 seconds behind Chin, 3.5 seconds ahead of third place Gavin Hibbs. Hibbs, another one of those guys, having a bit of a quiet night here. Was kind of competitive, fighting out with some guys. Obviously had his good run early on in the race to get up to the third position after starting in 9th. But yeah, still hasn't quite had the pace to go up and compete with Van de Sant or Chin, of course. But right now, staying ahead of Frankenfield. Frankenfield, though, maybe has something for Hibbs. Could Frankenfield try and put together enough of a run here at the end to grab a podium position? He's been faster these past couple of laps, and this gap is closing down slowly but surely. Keep an eye out for Adriano Pinheiro behind these two as well, but we could have a battle on our hands for third position, as there you see it. These past couple of laps, Frankenfield has done a lot better at saving his tires for the end of this race than Hibbs has.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He has, and we'll see if anybody has anything here as the laps slowly tick off. We have about 28 laps to go, so if you have anything, it's about time to start showing your hand.
Oh, for sure, yeah. This is the time of the race where things will start to pick up, especially with the long run now in play. I think a little bit easier for guys to settle into a rhythm. We got green flag pit stops done, which is great to see, of course. But now here we go. Hibbs responding to Frankenfield those last couple of laps, gaining a 10th on each one. We'll see what it looks like here on lap 198. And it's another 10th advantage Hibbs. So Frankenfield with a bit of an advantage early on. Hibbs, though, maybe just conserving at that point fuel and tires and He's going to respond right back there to the 15 car and say, no, not too close there. Going to pull back out in front of you and make sure I'm holding on to my third position. He's got some lap traffic in front, though, but Eric Macedo already down a lap should not make this too difficult at all for the driver, the number 95.
Yeah, definitely going to run into some lap traffic here as we get down to about 25 laps left. And if you're the rest of the field, are you hoping for a caution? Because if you're hoping for a caution, you've noticed and you've seen the restarts that Joshua Chin gets after the caution goes out and we go back to green. So, what's the strategy for anyone in the top 2, 3, 4? What's their strategy, you think, that they're trying to lay out here to catch Joshua Chin if that's possible?
Yeah, I think you've got to hope for a caution at the very least to reset the field and at least give you a chance, because right now otherwise there's nobody catching that 93 car. Plain and simple. 2.5 seconds of a gap in front, unless he gets horrendously caught up by lap traffic, which is still a possibility, of course, with 23 to go. It's kind of almost done and dusted if we stay green here to the end, at least just with the pace we're seeing. There's no drastic swings in either direction from any of these drivers that indicates to me that, hey, maybe there is going to be a change. However, if we do have a caution, as there it comes. Caution on 22 laps to go. If we do have that caution, it's Michael Hossack. It at least puts you in position to maybe try something. But we'll go back here and see. I wonder what guys are going to do in terms of pit strategy. But Michael Hossack here is going to just lose the rear end. They're coming off of 4 there, so a little bit later in the corner. Slams to that inside line, and not a ton of... Didn't look like he gained a ton of damage from that one. I wonder if there was further contact afterwards.
Yeah, if we can, let's take a look
not.
see if we can take a look at another angle to see. But it looks like he barely taps that inside wall there, so he should be able to get back on the track and finish the race.
Absolutely. So we'll take a look here. Michael Hossack in the 24 car, up high a little bit, just loses the rear end there. Just kind of slides in there, so it's obviously taking off the front nose there, but I think that's damage that's very replaceable for that team. Of course, was running a couple laps down before, is now going to be a few more laps down, but back out onto the racetrack and back underway. Still has to get that damage replaced on the front nose of the 24. But I think pit road will be open now to give him the opportunity to do so. So what do you do here? 21 laps to go. Do you pit? Do you stay out? I think track position has seemed to be the way forward so far tonight. I wonder if anybody up front here makes the move and thinks maybe they want to try out tires one more time.
I was just thinking that as well, but is tires going to be enough to catch the 93 car? We've talked about it seems like all night. He has been the head of the class, so there are drivers that are going to take one last final stop, one last shot at trying to catch the 93 car. But if you're Chad Frankenfield, for example, you're coming off of a Michigan race where it didn't end as well as you would liked it to. You're in position now. You're in position for a podium with 20 laps to go. Do you give that up to try to make adjustments that can help you catch the 93, in which you may not have the chance to do that? And then also, too, right behind him, R.C. Anderson. He's in the same boat. He didn't have he had a lackluster finish a couple weeks ago at Michigan. Does he continue to stay out and just ride to a P4, or does he think there's adjustments he can make with tires and such with these last remaining laps that we have to catch the 93 car? Definitely going to be worth watching. And then also, too, another rookie in the top 5, looking at the data there. I know we talked a little bit about this individual a few weeks ago, but Dalton Fredericks in the 00 car has driven his way to P5. So what a impressive run for this rookie in his second race. What's he going to do? Is he content with running, staying at P5, or can he get one more set of tires and adjustments on his car with 19 laps to go and try to get a little bit of pressure on Joshua Chin? Definitely worth watching.
For sure, we'll keep an eye out on all of these stories as once we get back to the green. We did see a bit of a split strategy call there, as Pinheiro, Hibbs, Musselman, actually I think just the 3 of those, as well as some guys further outside of the top 10, made the call to come down pit road and grab a fresh set of tires. So Pinheiro giving up track position again, for an opportunity to go out on fresh rubber. Meanwhile, the top group of cars, Chin, Van de Sant, Frankenfield, Enerson, Fredericks, Stanley, Ryan, all stay out on the racetrack. They like what they have underneath them. They're going to take these to the end. And, this is where, again, you've maybe got a potential to challenge. Frankenfield has newer tires than both Van de Sant and Chin. RC Enerson has a lap fresher tires than Frankenfield, too. Ethan Stanley has some fresh tires on that car. Chin and Van de Sant actually have the oldest tires of this group. Is it going to be that much of a difference in terms of pace that they're able to still put down on the racetrack? So far, this race hasn't really indicated so, but with 18 to go, we'll tick over to 17 to go. Anything can happen, and we could see a higher level of aggression as guys try to do whatever they can to get by this 93 car. But early, again, on the throttle, I'm going to create a buffer immediately to Alex Van de Sant. And it's going to make life difficult for the 1 car. Van de Sant now has to worry about defending from Frankenfield, and that's going to be the important part of his race, I think, to watch out for. Meanwhile, Fredericks, Stanley side by side through turns 1 and 2. It's going to be Fredericks just ahead, but Stanley with the move, at least attempting to make the move there early on. And here's Van de Sant defending now from Frankenfield.
And if you're Chen with 16 laps to go and you look in your rearview mirror, you got to be loving what you're seeing, because all of the racing that's going on, the side-by-side racing that's going on behind you, is just helping you extend your lead even more.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we go. More side-by-side action. Chad Frankenfield, who's now worked his way up into the podium positions, wants one more. Could he go for P2 on Alex Van de Sant? Frankenfield right now looks to have just a little bit of a pace advantage over the driver, the number 1.
Yeah, he absolutely does. As the laps slowly start to tick away, we are down to 15 to go, and I still don't see anybody behind Joshua Chin that has anything to contend with him today.
Yeah, nothing quite yet there as the 6th caution waves of the night. And no indication as to what the cause was for that. See a couple of cars with damage there. Dudes Castroneves, Ryan Schold. Led to the Whiskey Cast replay. See what happened with these guys potentially.
Yeah, definitely wanting to see. I know Castroneves was having a great race up until this incident here, which we're going to check out momentarily.
Absolutely. Looks like I might have kicked off here with the 4 car of Ryan Schold. Take a look here and see what happens with this view. Kind of gets run into by Eric Macedo, and that kind of starts off this huge effect. Really strange crash there.
Yeah, it does. And also it kind of looks like does he slow down before he is obviously ran into from behind? It looks like he may have let up on the throttle there a little bit. Tell me what you think.
Possibly. Let's take a look there coming off the corner. Maybe the slow motion. It looked like he might have been catching a slide there. But either way, that's maybe a little overly aggressive there from the 83 car, and that kicks off this whole series of incidents. So you see hard hit to the side for Ryan Schold. AJ Musselman looks to have maybe just avoided all of it. But we're going to then see Dudes Castroneves also get caught up in that, and I think that was the other car that was hit there. But yeah, let's go back to full speed here maybe and just see. It's tough to really gauge, I guess, if there was much of a pace loss there for Ryan Schold that led to this incident.
Yeah, to me, it just looks like he slows down because those cars catch him way too fast for some reason.
Yeah, it looked like almost, again, just maybe lost the rear end on the 4 car. and was kind of collecting it. The 83 didn't react fast enough, which kind of led to that. That's kind of my take on the incident. Interestingly enough, and obviously for them, a long race turns into an unfortunate end there as Macedo on pit road, Castro Neves on pit road, Schold all on pit road.
Yeah, definitely a lot of cars that have been collected in accidents tonight. And something else I've noticed too with these accidents, they haven't been, beside one here and there, they have been a lot of hard hits, especially in those side pods.
Yeah, they really have been, and we're very fortunate that this is not real racing, because some of these hits have been very hard for drivers tonight. Obviously, this IR18 at this point is one of the safest race cars on the planet, but still, you never want to see big crashes like that. Even if it is all virtual and these guys aren't feeling it, you still feel for these guys after again putting in such hard work over the course of the night. For it to end within 11 laps to go is always tough.
Yeah, it absolutely is. We have 11 to go, and again, if you're Joshua Chen, you're loving that you're seeing the side by side racing, but you're also loving the laps that are ticking away on these cautions. And I see that we have 2 new players in the top 5 here, top 6. Ethan Stanley, I know we touched a little bit about him, and then one of the biggest movers of the night, the number 90 car, again another rookie, Sean Ryan. So that's somebody that we haven't mentioned a lot about tonight. So new blood up there in the top 10.
Absolutely, Sean Ryan, another one of those rookies alongside Dalton Fredericks. Both of them competing to try and get inside that top 5. But now 10 laps to go. We'll tick over to 9 when we go back to green flag. And we'll see what these guys can do. Again, one more opportunity potentially here for somebody to make a move on the 93 car. Otherwise, you're going to be defending your position. You've got to, Alexander Van de Sant, obviously 2-time defending champion, you've got to start with that champion mindset of maybe you let this one go. It's just not quite able to get there, and on the restart once again the 93 car just so good with that initial start and able to pull away immediately. So for Van de Sant, your focus now shifts to Chad Frankenfield behind. Hold him off, keep a second place finish, and try and defend from the 15 car, defend from the 50 car behind him, and any other challengers that might pop up. We got a great battle going on here for the second spot. Might have a great battle for third as well. But with 8 to go, it's already checking out their time for the 93. As here we go, move for second place. Frankenfield to the inside. RC Anderson 3 wide into turn number 3 for second.
Yeah, 3 wide here as we have, what a battle here, going back and forth. And again, as I mentioned, if you're Joshua Chen and you're looking in your rearview mirror and you're seeing these cars 2, 3, and 4 going 3 wide, you're licking your chops because your lead is just getting further and further.
Absolutely, and Chin further ahead. But here we go, Frankenfield to the inside, trying to go for second. Van de Sant resorting back to that high line. He's going to get the run off the corner. Can he dive down to the bottom into turn number 1 to repass Frankenfield, or has he lost that position? Remember, Frankenfield about 10-lap fresher tires than Van de Sant. And it's been a little while since that 15 car has been on the podium, but right now he's fighting it out, trying to be best of the rest behind the 93. And could Van de Sant lose another spot here to RC Enerson? Enerson looking to the inside in the 50 car, also again on those fresher tires, trying to make this move here. And right now it feels like Van de Sant almost like a sitting duck. And there you go, Enerson again to the inside lane. Van de Sant continuing to work that top line all the way up against the wall. He's very comfortable up there, trying to use that the runs he gets off the corner to stay in front, and it's working for now. But Frankenfield clears up into second, and Van de Sant now under attack clearly from Enerson. Enerson side by side heading into turn number 1.
Yeah, what a run, what a potential bounce back for positions 2 and 3 if they can finish like that. But RC Anderson still has a little bit of work to do because Van der Sat is not going to go away quietly.
Yeah, certainly not, and you can see them still side by side for the past couple of laps here. Anderson maybe just needs a nose more of lead over the one car, and I think he might grab that. He will clear in front of the one, but now Van de Sant gets the bottom lane. He's going to try this out into 3 and 4. See if he can get by as we head to 2 laps to go. Great racing going on here for the final podium spot. It looks like it's now in Enerson's hands, though, as he clears the one car. The defending champ goes from 2nd to 4th there in these final runs, and what we thought might have been helpful for him turns out to be the most detrimental for him, as he's lost a number of points there. But here we go. White flag waves for Joshua Chin. Here he goes. He's led just about every green flag lap here tonight, barring a couple of strategy calls that moved him and shuffled him towards a little bit further back. But it's really been a one-man show here tonight at Loudon at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Joshua Chin from pole to victory lane. The 93 car has been untouchable in his IndyCar debut, and he's going to do it. Victory lane for Joshua Chin. 93 car wins it. Chad Frankenfield is going to come across the line in P2, and R.C. Enerson rounds out that top 3. What a comeback from those 2 drivers. Adriano Pinheiro also grabs Alexander Van de Sant at the line, and Pinheiro, after his win at the US 500, backs it up with a 4th place finish here, working back twice from strategy decisions, but just in utter shock to what Joshua Chin achieved tonight here. Of course, again, veteran of these cars, but a rookie in this series. And he's shown up the rest of this field here tonight, and he's shown that he's going to be an absolute threat for the championship over the course of this season. And now it's time to burn it down. Celebration time for Joshua Chin.
Yeah, what a great race Joshua had. What a great plan that he and his strategist come up with. Definitely the strongest car. Yes, the strongest car on point all night. Definitely can't wait to talk to him in the post race to hear his thoughts on how his car ran, setup, restarts, etc. But also kudos to the other 2 podium finishers as well, as you mentioned. Chad Frankenford coming back from the disappointing finish at Michigan a few weeks ago, and then R.C. Enerson. He was in the same boat. This kind of had to be maybe a had-to podium finish for him, and Chad and R.C. pull it off. And then don't forget, the winner, as you mentioned, from a couple of weeks ago, Pinheiro, right there in 4th. So good points day for him as well.
Absolutely. As we watch the celebrations there, that's a unique victory lap there, reversing his way around New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We'll bring in our 3rd place finisher, then R.C. Enerson. R.C., a bit of a comeback race there, of course, after the US 500, and then worked your way up the order. Some great moves late in the race between you and Chad to make it to a podium finish. Talk us through tonight. Challenges that you guys were facing. Looked like just generally the car was maybe a little bit loose coming off those corners, and a bit of a handful there. But what were you seeing behind the wheel?
Yeah, it was tough, man. It was just the tires meant a lot. You had to do the right things with the weight jacker at the right time. It was just trying to predict the people in front of you on whether they were going to run. Because if you enter low and they go low, you're really going to have a bad exit. So it's just trying to predict that and trying to be heads up on the weight jacker. But it was definitely tough. This is one of the hardest ones I've had to fight for P3.
Derek?
RC, kind of curious. I know you had a disappointing finish in Michigan 2 weeks ago. Was this kind of a must finish podium for you, and not to get or dig yourself such a big hole in points so early?
Not necessarily. I mean, with the IndyCar Series, I take it one race at a time, man. I'm trying to win as much as possible. That's always the goal, because obviously the wins create the points. The wins help the championship. Obviously, crashes don't help, and I kind of self-induced that to myself at Michigan. I had a car bounce off the wall, trying to go to the inside of him while he was going to the inside and catch the apron, and that was the end of my race. I think I had a solid finish going. Just a silly mistake. That I don't think I'll have any more of the rest of the season, hopefully. I think a solid P3 and just keep moving on with solid podium type finishes, and we could be off on our way to a championship title.
All right, well, RC, it feels like we're talking to you more and more up here in the booth. You've been running well in all 3 series. kind of finding that pace there, and obviously performance last week was great, grabbing 2 wins in the trucks and Xfinity Series cars. Is the plan to be full time here in IndyCar?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I always try to do all the IndyCar races. It's just a struggle with my schedule, with my own racing and my own coaching. It's just with work. It's hard to schedule these races when I'm out of town. That's the struggle. I always get into. I think it's the B season that I'm always here for, because that's like actuals racing's off season. So that's when I'm able to be in here a lot and be doing all the races. So I'm hopefully going to be running for a championship here in multiple series. That's my goal, at least, and try not to miss as many as possible.
Well, that's great to hear there. As always, we want to give you the chance to make some shout outs while we have you on the air.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, Chad, Little Eagle Racing. I'm with them for the IndyCar Series this year, and Rayco Machine and Engineering Group. They're on every single one of my cars throughout the entire Elite Series, all of them. They've been awesome, and I think it's the first time I've ran a paint scheme other than the Lucas Oil School of Racing one. So it's kind of cool to see something different out there on the track, and I'm looking forward to more of it.
All right, man. Congratulations again. P3 finish tonight. Looking forward to talking to you some more over the coming weeks. RC Anderson, 3rd place. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. You guys do an awesome job.
All right, 3rd place finisher RC Anderson. We'll bring in now our 2nd place finisher, and not to say anything here, Chad, but it feels like it's been a long time since I've talked to you in a booth after a race, man. It's good to talk to you. 2nd place finish. Great run there at the end on that final restart to grab the position from Alex Van de Sant. But talk us through tonight. RC mentioned it was just a tough car in general to drive. What were you feeling behind the wheel?
The dirty air was tough to manage. We you really couldn't do much until later in the run where the fall off came in, and Josh. I mean, I knew as soon as he got the pole, it was going to be tough to get him, and you need to do some kind of strategy play. So we were hoping early on that we'd get a green flag run long enough to get green flag stops in, and then trap them a lap. That was the only way we were going to be able to get those guys up front there at the end. Because between Josh, Sant, Adriano, me, RC, I mean, we were all like running the same exact laps, so we weren't going to pass each other. Yeah, I mean, I really came down at the end there. I just had enough tire to get by Alex. His tires were a little bit older than mine, so yeah, I mean, it's awesome to get a podium. I mean, I feel like it's been forever since I've won in the series, but it keeps getting tougher and tougher. So anytime you can get a podium, it's always a big thing.
Derek?
Chad, I mentioned this to RC earlier, but how important was this to you? Getting obviously, winning is important, but getting a podium, so you didn't dig yourself in such a big hole after the not so impressive performance a couple weeks ago at Michigan that we talked about.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I think what the ones that I could take running. I think the races where you run up front, like Michigan, where we lead a bunch of laps, we're setting ourselves up for a win, and we get nothing out of it, are harder to deal with than races you're just so slow you're completely off the pace. And unfortunately, this series is so freaking competitive that if you have if you have two, at this point in the season, if you have a couple bad races, you're basically already out. So it was super important to get a good finish here, and Mid-Ohio in a couple weeks. I'm not going to compete for a win, but I think I can compete for a top 5 or 6 maybe, depending on how the race plays out. But I knew coming into today I needed to get a good finish because I'm not going to be able to rely on the road courses. So, obviously, yeah, it was huge, and then it was also huge for Little Eagle Racing for us to get that going. I mean, me and RC and the team, we're really working well together, which is huge. We were bouncing things off each other and throughout the race, and it definitely helped. So, yeah, I mean, it was all around. It was a really good day. I think Ryan finished 15th, so I guess he got involved in something late. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it was a good day.
Yeah, and wanted to give you a quick chance to talk about Josh Chin as well, kind of a newcomer to the series, but seems like he's a well-known quantity kind of within the world of the fixed IndyCar series. Um, did you know kind of who he was stepping into this race, or and what he might present as in terms of a challenge to the rest of you guys? Because it did look like that 93 was really untouchable today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As soon as he signed up, I saw he's very talented. He just adds to the depth that we have in the series, and you know, the IndyCar iRacing landscape. There's a couple leagues that just set themselves apart, whether it's Lionheart or Indy Elite or whatever it is, and I've been striving to just build this league up to where we can just be on the same, even close to the same level. And it's really neat to be able to pull some of the better guys on the sim to come and race with us. I mean, whether it's Adriano or Alex or Chin, I mean, anytime you jump in a fixed lobby race, those are the guys you're gonna have to beat, and you got to beat them all to win a race here. So, I'm also, I love it. I love competition. I would take winning one race every 3 seasons over 6 wins in a season because the series isn't competitive enough. So, um, yeah, it's awesome. I'm glad Josh is here. He's a very respectful, clean racer, and hopefully we can finish in front of him though moving forward. That'd be nice.
Absolutely. And before we let you go here, we do want to, of course, give you the chance to make some shout outs here on the air.
Yeah, I just want to thank Kicking the Tires. They sponsored me all year this year, and that's been an awesome privilege to have somebody who's willing to put their name on my car. So I really appreciate them, and I thank Little Eagle Racing for giving me a place to race. As a team owner, sometimes you don't get a chance to do a lot of the data. You don't get to run fuel stints and things like that, and to rely on Ryan and Hunter and RC to help me out a little bit with what they're doing with the fuel, it's definitely a huge help. So thank you guys. Push to Pass podcast. Thank you for stepping up. Hopefully you're enjoying it. And I'm glad that you're in the booth with Rish. I always think that this series being full distance, it's a little tough to announce, but to have guys that know IndyCar and open wheel racing is huge. So thank you guys as well.
All right. Congratulations again there. P2 finish here, Chad Frankenfield, hoping for some more of those results to come for you in the future here. Alrighty, we'll then bring in the man of the night here. Utterly impressive performance there, Josh Chin. Josh, talk us through this race and talk us through your expectations heading into it, because I mean, obviously I guess I'm not one of those people who partakes in IndyCar fixed lobbies that much, but wasn't really aware of who you were coming into this, but you kind of set this field alight on a number of occasions. Every time there was a restart, it really seemed like there was no challenge. How'd you feel about your elite racing debut?
I was expecting to have the pace I did. I figured I'd like New Hampshire and I'd have a decent shot, but I didn't expect to win pole. And then the race just kind of played out perfect. No one really was able to get up there and challenge. I was able to save fuel most of the race, just run my own pace and kind of control the race from there. There was a little bit of worry on that last green flag cycle, but it all played out right, and it was fun to get a win and nice to just have a good solid run.
Josh, first and foremost, congratulations on a dominant performance. Were you expecting such a dominant performance that you had this evening?
No, I figured some other guys are going to be up there a little bit more, and they kind of played their way to the front at the end. But overall, I wasn't expecting to have that kind of pace. I like New Hampshire a lot, so I figured I'd have a good shot. But winning pole was kind of unexpected, and then the race pace was there the whole time, so it played out pretty nicely.
Yeah, absolutely, and curious to hear your thoughts, I guess, on the league as a whole stepping in here, and is the plan to run the rest of the season here within Elite? Was this a one-time run? What are you planning for the future here with this run? Because it seems like obviously based off today, have the pace and have the ability to run up front, fight for a championship here long term.
Yeah, that's the plan. Had to miss Michigan because of work, but hopefully be around for the rest of the season and try and win the championship and have another purple car win the championship instead of Alex there.
Yeah, the one to break the back-to-back championship streak there could potentially be you there. I mean, yeah, very impressive run there, and we're looking forward to seeing more of you. I think certainly put the rest of the field on notice tonight. We do like to give the opportunity for you to make some shout-outs on the air, though, while we have you in Victory Lane.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to everyone at Team Talent, Private Label, Team Hype. Had them crewing me during the race. They helped with some key strategy calls and just keep me aware of where the fuel numbers were. Big thanks to Private Label, Ethica, and iLiveries for the paint scheme. And we'll be back at Mid-Ohio and hopefully run just as well.
All right. Well, yeah, certainly. Again, put the rest of the league on notice there. So congratulations, dominant performance here tonight. I don't know the exact number, but I'd imagine you were approaching 200 laps led, if not exceeding that. So yeah, very impressive run, and looking forward to seeing more of you.
Appreciate it. It was 200 on the dot, actually.
Oh, wow. There you go. All right, Joshua Chin then, dominant race winner here at the Magic Mile 225. Congratulations again, man.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and so there are the top three finishers. I mean, what an incredible race there. Incredible run for Joshua Chin, and I think if you're the rest of the drivers in the league, you're a little bit nervous. He's running the rest of the series here, and that's going to be a tough car to beat. Obviously, he mentioned he likes New Hampshire. We'll have to see if that pace is the same, over the course of the rest of the races we go to. And if he is able to do that, then everybody's going to have to be forced to elevate their performances to his level. But you look at that top five there, and those are kind of the guys you'd almost expect to see in terms of the protagonists in this championship. Chin looks like he could be a guy here that's going to be in play for long term. Frankenfield making that return to the podium. RC Enerson, always a solid car if he can find that consistency. Same with Pinheiro, first and a fourth to start out the season, and defending champion Alex Van de Sant rounding out that top five. Though obviously we're not going to count out any of those other guys inside the top 10. Gavin Hibbs, what a run he had inside the top three for the majority of the race. Ethan Stanley working his way up, and then two of our rookies there, Sean Ryan, Chris Wright, rounding out the top 10. AJ Musselman, podium finish last week, 9th place finish this week, staying inside the top 10 back-to-back weeks. A good start for him as well.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I think Joshua has kind of put all of the other drivers on notice because if he can be this dominant at New Hampshire, and again, I know he's got experience here, and he talked about how much he loves this track. If he can be dominant here, as the old Frank Sinatra song goes, he can be dominant anywhere.
Absolutely, and with that, we are going to be looking forward to what Joshua Chin can bring to this league moving forward. But we're going to be done from New Hampshire tonight. You've been watching the Magic Mile 225 here on the Elite Racing Network. It's been the Mega Driver 86 INDYCAR Series. It's the 2022 B season, and we've got an absolutely stacked field of drivers taking this championship all the way through to the end of this year. So, of course, thank Mega Driver 86 on Twitter. Want to thank our premier sponsors, Blue Egg Marketing, TA Services, and Breezy Cam, as well as the Push to Pass podcast, and you, Derek Vance, for joining me up in the booth. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you guys round number 2 of this series, and we're looking forward to bringing you all the action for the rest of this year. So I've been Rish Khosla, joined by Derek Vance in the booth. Thank you all so much once again for tuning in. We'll see you all next time at Mid-Ohio.